Thank you, Vanessa. So moving right along with the presentation, and I think it was important for us to have that little break. I think it helped me too. One thing you need to start doing once you've done the things that I've told you from the beginning, taking the responsibility, which is important, start understanding the environment, start understanding the university, seeing whether they offer the courses that you want to study, etc. Now it's important that you start reaching out to these universities, right? So the things you want to look at, for example, and is my slide all up okay? Just if someone can let me know on the mic, please. Everything, can everybody see the
Perfect,
presentation? Okay,
perfect.
great.
It's okay. Yes, it's perfect. We can see it. Thank you.
So great. So you need to start reaching out to universities, right? When we did the Mentimeter in the beginning, one of the things we saw, we asked you, how many of you have already started your application? How many of you have tried before? And if so, when had you tried? Had it been the last 5 years, more than 5 years, etc.? Now, if we use an example like Ms. Makamo herself, Vanessa, you will also see that she told you from the beginning, and she wasn't ashamed to let you know that unfortunately it's not always the first time and that's it. Sometimes you have to keep trying. As the saying goes, try, try, try again, right? Sometimes you will apply and you won't be able to get in. My two colleagues that are also presenting with me, some of them had tried for the YALI program before and they weren't able to get in. If we could mute our mics, please. Thanks. And so they kept on trying. And as a result of it, eventually they got the opportunity to come and study at Howard University. Howard University, if you don't know, look it up. It's one of the prestigious historically Black colleges and universities in the US, and it's the top HBCU. So look them up and you'll see. And a lot of people would love to come. It's based in Washington, D.C., etc. But it wasn't just on a first time that they got there. Some of them had to go through some hurdles. And as a result, they kept being persistent. They took on the responsibility and eventually they got in. They came and they worked with me. Look, today we're already working together as colleagues. They are presenting. They do these presentations not just with you, but they do it with other colleagues that were with them from 52 countries. They didn't do the whole 54, but 52 applied, but they work with their colleagues that were from these 52 countries that also came to Howard University. So they do joint presentations all over Africa in terms of how to apply for the YALI scholarship. They have discussions on different areas, topic areas, etc. But all those opportunities they got by getting to travel, to come to the US, to learn from each other, and now build relationships that now they've taken back home, and they're continuing to work jointly, helping other people, colleagues, students, and those that want to get the opportunity to either apply for the fellowship, the Mandela Washington Fellowship, the YALI program, or other fellowships like, for example, Vanessa's doing the Fulbright, and there's many others. And I'll show you some of those so that you can also see how to get involved. But again, we have Darcio and we have Naomi in Mozambique, and they're going to be there to serve as people to help guide you with the process moving forward. So if you're interested, you want to take the responsibility, you have references right there. But also you have to take the responsibility. You have to start reaching out to the universities. You have to start doing your homework as much as possible, right? So for example, you need to understand, when is it that I should start preparing to get ready to go to college, right? So everybody knows about the 12th grade, right? Your school goes to the 12th grade for everybody, right? Décima primera, décima segunda. Yeah. So I would suggest you need to at least, na décima, start preparing if you want to get ready to come to the university in the US. Look up the school, start doing the research that I've told you that you need to do this. And I hope there's some parents on here with us too that are also hearing, to get them involved, because you still might need the guidance in terms of your parents to help you. But at the end, it has to be about you and you taking the responsibility. It's always a little difficult because sometimes, my father, for example, didn't get to go to college, right? So when I came to the college, I was the first in my family, first generation to come to university. So I had no reference, had nobody to ask to help me to know how to. I was in a totally different country, different society in terms of how things interact and don't different people, everything. I came to the US when I was really young, 16 going on 17 years old, on my own. I had family here, but my family is at home. But when I go to school, they're not in this environment of the school, right? So I had to learn a lot of these things on my own, right? So you have to learn what the rules, the regulations are, etc., in terms of the university. So one of the things, for example, is the requirement of when you can apply to be a student on that campus. Again, I would suggest at the 10th grade, Decima, you already start doing the research of which area you want to study, look into which university, look into which state you want to come and live in, right? In the US, there's lots of states, right? There's 50 states, and there's also territories. So you need to see where. Does that match your environment that you want? The cultural, the diversity, all those things are important that you need to look in. Now, you start at least Decima, and you have to also see how they basically evaluate you. Most universities in the US, they don't grade you or evaluate your application based on the 12th grade. No, they look at your 11th grade. The 12th grade, you're finishing up. Some of you are so advanced, you've taken other courses, so you don't have the same full level. So it's hard for them to judge. But the 11th grade, that's the second to last year. That's the year they're going to look at in terms of your grades to make sure this is an eligible candidate. Now, you have to be fair. You also have to think like this, just like any other thing in life, right? You applying to come to Howard University. We can only take with our student body is 12,500. But our freshman class, the first class coming in, we cannot take more than between 2,500 to 3,000 students. So out of 12,000, only 2,500 to 3,000 students can apply. We are the top HBCU. So applications come in numbers. So for example, right now for the fall, because we call it the fall, August is considered the time of the season that we call the fall or autumn in Portuguese, right? We have two semesters here, autumn, and then we have primavera, the spring. Autumn starts August to December, and then primavera goes from January all the way to May, right? That's basically the two periods in terms of school here. Unlike you, different, you start January, you end December. Here they start August to December, January to May. Those are the two seasons, right? So if you are applying, you need to make sure that you do everything in time to be able to make it in the first 3,000 places. We give degrees in, for example, over 100 and between 140 to 180 different areas. But you need to make sure, is that something that you want to study? If you want to do agriculture, for example, we don't offer agriculture. Now, if you want to do a subset of agriculture, say understanding chemicals, and we offer chemistry, right? So you have to basically also understand how we term things here. In the US, for example, some people say, oh, I want to do literature. Well, what literature do you want to do? In the US, most times it's English literature, but it's based on American content. Is that the literature you want to do? Then maybe literature might not be the right place for you to come and study here. Maybe the literature you want is the Shakespeare. This might not be the right environment for it. This university might not be offering. So you have to be able to know which university, which environment offers it, and what it's called here, right? A lot of people, for example, I work with students from Saudi Arabia, tell me all the time, I want to come and study English. And I look at them like, okay, yes, okay, but what in English? Not that you cannot study English. English is a yes, but what in English? Oh, I want to be a teacher. So, okay, so you want to do education And one of the things you want to do is then teach in English. So that's different. So what we call it here, what you call it there is different. You have to understand that. So you got to reach out to the universities. You got to understand what are the requirements? What are the documents they need? If you need to translate your documents, you study in Portuguese, here they study in English. Here, for them to evaluate you, your documents have to be translated into English so that that way we can also understand what grades are we giving you, which ones do you need, which ones don't you need, which ones, etc. You got to reach out to the admissions officers. You got to find out what's required, how much of this, how much of that, which document must it be? Can it be? You got to ask them all the questions. Now, to be fair, us, for example, right now, we can only have space for 3,000 people. Do you know how many applications we got for fall, which is August coming up, 2024? You know how many applications we got? 39,000 applications. That's right, 39,000. We only have space for 3,000 students. It's like trying to win the lotto, right? Exactly. And that's not just Howard. That's many universities around. Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, USC, Arizona, Arizona State, University of Dallas, University of Texas, University of Houston, University of Miami, Florida State University. All of them have different regulations, different time periods, and different amounts of numbers that they can take. So you have to do your homework to understand what is needed. So in the same way, you have to think about it, right? Just like a job. There's a position that comes available at Mimo's, right? To be the manager in Mimo's, right? Mimo's is the pizza place in Maputo, right? Mimo's? Yeah? Okay. Forget, but I think yes. All right. So there's one position available. They put a publication out. They said, we're looking for someone to come and be the manager here. How many applications do you think they're getting? They're getting about 6,000, 10,000, 20,000 applications are coming in for the one position in Mimos. Well, the first thing they're going to do right away, they're going to look at the qualifications. One of the qualifications, they say you have to have finished high school. When they start going through the applications, if you didn't read what the application requirements are, the first thing they'll do, all those that have not finished high school, in the trash, they're out. They're not even going to be considered. So out of the 6,000, they're now down to 3,000. Out of it, they said, out of the positions we only want women to be managers. We're trying to push and promote diversity. One of the things we want women. Well, in that 3,000 that was left, 2,500 of them are men. We throw those out, right? We now only left with 500. Out of the 500, which is still a lot, because remember, we're talking about one position. Now we need to narrow it down, right? Who has worked in management before? Well, you had someone that was studying medicine. You had someone studied chemistry. This is not even related. Out. We are now left with 50. We come all the way down. We are now left with 12 people. Out of the 12, we're going to set up this 4 sets or 3 sets. We'll do 4 at a time of women eligible. They meet the requirements. They all have studied management. We're looking for that person. These are the ones we're going to interview. Out of those 12, they can only pick 3. Out of the 3, they're going to narrow it down. They're going to have a discussion. Each application is scored. They're going to say, well, Naomi was the better candidate as a result. Someone says, no, Darcio. No, Vanessa. Well, what made Vanessa stand out? What made, etc. So those requirements are the same in the university setting. They need to find out from 39,000 applications, which are going to make it into the 3,000. What do these students have that the others don't have? Do your homework. Read, find out what the application requirements are. When they told you it had to be in by the 1st of January, you sent yours on the 10th of January, it's not even going to make it to the desk. It's going straight to the trash. You didn't know? You didn't read? Well, if you didn't read, that tells me If you didn't know, even read the instructions, then how are you going to be doing it in school? Means when your homework assignments come, you're not going to be on time. It can't be. We want students that are dedicated to learn. We want students that are taking responsibility for themselves. All right, you're with me? You can get counseling, and like we've just told you now, you have Darcio, you have Naomi that are in Mozambique, you have myself, you have Vanessa, you have other colleagues that can help you. You have other people that have traveled, that have studied here, that can give you guidance. Ask, talk, go online, check YouTube videos, find out what do they do, explore all opportunities possible to help increase your chances so that you get in, right? And most people are not going to tell you things just because they don't know. They're going to tell you so they also want to help you. The reason I'm doing this, the reason all of us are doing this, is not because we need anything from you. No, we just don't want you to go through the problems and the difficulties that we went through to be able to become students, to be able to go through. So anything that we can guide you on and help you on, it's for your own benefit. But people don't understand like that, right? Every time I talk to my nephews in Mozambique and they say, "Oh, Theo, I want to come and live in the US." I say, "Okay, but for you to come, you have to be able to have something that you have to offer. You have to be able to come and say, go to school, or you have to be able to come and want to work in a specific field. Are you ready and willing to do that? Do you have the qualifications?" Well, they say, "Well, we." So then I say, "Well, then you won't be able to come." So they don't understand it like that. They say, "No, my Theo is being difficult. He doesn't want me to have the same opportunities like everybody else," right? Y'all know those stories, right? "Oh no, it's some ficticera stuff. Oh no, it's my mother that doesn't want." Oh no, no. Yeah. You have to be the one to do the homework to understand those things. Don't just because I'm telling you what to do, just take everything no, you got to research it. Go online, find out, is this true? Is this verified? You're going to make the decision because it's about you. I've already been there. So you have to find out, is this what's required? And then you'll start finding out the same stories. Oh, yes, this is true. This is what I need. Okay. That's what you got to do. Take the responsibility. It's about you, right? Explore all options, because even if you have a perfect application, sometimes there's other barriers, right? Barriers like finances, scholarships, and we're going to talk about that coming up. What do I do? Will I have the means? What is the requirement, etc.?